All right. Hello, everyone. I appreciate you guys joining another edition of Real Estate Investing with Marco. Of course, my name is Marco Walker. I am the Vice President of Sales with HomeRiver Group, also a real estate broker and real estate investor. So I'm extremely excited about this edition. I have someone that I go way back with. So this is extremely exciting, but also will impact many people listening to this particular webinar. So I will pass the baton to Miss Brittany and allow her to introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to do this with you. Margaret wasn't very specific about how long we've known each other, but I think it's pushing on 20 years, if you can believe that. And it's so wonderful to see like everybody and where they came from. And I mean, we were kids, and then where we are now, and watching everyone's careers grow and flourish and lives grow and flourish. So I'm excited to do this with you.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. So, yeah, tell them about so Brittany is the co-founder of Women in Real Estate, which I've got a chance to learn so much about the community, so much about the organization. But there's still people, I get so many inboxes, so many different interactions of people in general, not just women, but also men who would be allies of this organization, who want to know how to invest, how to be involved, how do I just, build my network. So if you can just give a brief overview of women in real estate, like what is Women in Real Estate? What is the organization? What is your mission and your goals as the co-founder of Women in Real Estate?
Absolutely. Um, well, let me start at the beginning-ish. So when I got started in real estate, I made a lot of mistakes, as we all do when we get started. And I realized the biggest mistake that I had made is not having a community to rely on when there were questions, when there were concerns, when there were problems. I didn't have anybody that I could reach out and ask for help or support. Like nobody really knew around me. Like I had realtors around me. I was employed by some developers. I had some people around me, but I didn't have those like really strong relationships of folks that I could call on, and not only call on, but like that would pick up my phone call no matter what time it was, no matter what I needed, that they were going to like be on my side. So I got into that first like foray of fix and flipping and like literally crashed and burned. It was really because I didn't have a community. And so in 2020, 2021, we're all home for the pandemic, and I get on an audio app and we're all having these really wonderful conversations about real estate. And there was very clearly a need for space, and for women in particular, but a need for community in general. And I realized that I was not the only person who had the experience of like trying to get started and being alone, going it alone and crashing and burning. And had there been an organization or an opportunity even to collaborate, I would have fared a lot better. So me and my co-founder Kaylani, we started Women in Real Estate, and it just started as like a way to get offline because it was the pandemic. So all we could do is be online. So it was a way for us to all kind of get in person. We went all across the country hosting these meetups and opportunities for women to connect and collaborate. Had so much fun and wanted to take it further. And so now it is a hybrid community. It's both online and in person. We have 10 chapters across the country. I run Houston, which is the biggest and best chapter. But we have Dallas, we have Oahu, we have DC, we have South Florida, we have Tampa, we have Chicago, we have LA, just like a whole bunch of chapters across the country. And then we also connect to each other virtually. So we have an online platform that has probably at this point 200 hours of recorded content. So anything want to know about real estate, there's probably some information there. But then we take it a step further to connect you with other women in the network or other people who are just supporters of the network, that can help you with whatever your real estate goals happen to be. So at this point, we're at about 100,000 supporters. And it's been such a life-changing experience. If I could have just started here, started with a community, started with people who were cheering me on and having my back, I mean, real estate would have been a much easier journey.
Wow. I learned so much just from what you just said, and I think what you do is extremely empowering, important, but also gives people in general, especially women, like you said, the community. That's what stood out in what you said is the community, the network, being able to have women in different lanes that you can call on when you need assistance. Like you said, you started out, you crashed and burned. Uh, I raised my hand as well. I've knocked my head against the wall as well. So, kind of segueing into, a little bit of what you said in your journey, in the beginning of your journey. Um, Unfortunately, there's been several high number layoffs in multiple industries. So, not just real estate, not just property management, not just residential real estate, home building, et cetera, but also, government jobs and things of that nature. Airlines, etc. So a ton of people are impacted by just the environment. So with that being said, just as we look to diversify ourselves or diversify our portfolios, we've dove into real estate as investors. And that is very life changing, for us from a knowledge standpoint, but also from a financial standpoint. So, for people that are looking for that change, right? That are looking to, maybe not just completely go away from corporate America, but really diversify their portfolio, diversify themselves, and get started in real estate, women in particular, right? What advice would you give them on how to get started in real estate, especially when they're going through so much right now mentally with everything that's going on?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, this is a really loaded question, so feel free to like dig into any points that I don't go deep enough into. First, prevention is the best medicine, right? So while you do have a great job, stack up on as many opportunities as you can. If well, okay. First. So one and one. Number one, seize the opportunity right now, and then simultaneously make sure you understand your pathway. There are a lot of ways to be in real estate. You could own rental properties within that particular niche. You might do group homes, or you might do living assisted living facilities, or you might do um Section 8, right? So there's a lot of different categories for specific niches. So if you're looking to create a rental portfolio and you are still employed, this is a great time because now you have some of that cash and that good W-2 money to lean on, right? So that's where I would start if rental portfolio was your end goal. If you I will say real estate is still a job. It still takes work. There are varying levels of work. You could do a rental portfolio in which you're going to have to identify the property. You're going to have to make sure that the numbers work. You're going to have to maintain that property. You're going to have to vet tenants. There is a level of work there. Once it's done, you have to know what your cash flow numbers are going to be and ask yourself, is that worth it? Right? If you're going for cash flow to supplement your income, do the numbers work? Or is this more of an equity play? Is it an opportunity for you to retire in the future by refinancing or selling these properties in the future? You have to kind of have a strategy there. Or maybe you want to do something that's more active. You want to become a real estate agent, or you want to become a developer or a builder. Well, what is your capacity for that? And then how much cash flow do you have? How much do you need? So For instance, I moved down here to Houston because I wanted to be a real estate developer. And that sounds very sexy and everybody wants to be a real estate developer, but it's really hard. And the key is you don't get paid oftentimes unless you raise the money, or B, until the deal sells. So what does that look like for you in your situation? Do you have the funds to not collect a check for 12 months? Do you need to sell that car with $1,000 car note so that you can have some extra capital in your pocket while you're learning the rules of the road to building and development? Like, those are real tough questions that you have to ask yourself. And how feasible is it for you to maintain your life, your social life, your family life, and a job while becoming a developer? Is that something that is likely? Those are questions you have to ask there. On the other end, you could get into something that is a lot more passive. So for me, I raise money from everyday people, friends and family, that want to just put their money in and get a check at the end of the project, right? That could be an opportunity. And you have to consider, okay, what's my risk versus reward here? And how much do I want to be involved or not involved? Am I okay with somebody else making all the big decisions and just going with whatever they feel is best? So there's a lot of ways to get involved in real estate, but you need to know, like, you need to be real with yourself and establish your game plan. You need to know what you're willing to give up, because you're probably going to have to give up something. And then you need to know what strategy is going to be best. And we didn't even go into like short-term rentals. Like, short-term rentals are great, but are you willing to take the risk of policy changing in various cities? Do your numbers still work if you can't rent it out short term and you need to go to a regular rental strategy? Do you want to be in charge of talking to guests every day, all day? Or do you think that you can outsource that? And if you do outsource it and it doesn't work out, are you comfortable being in charge of that? So there's a lot to it to kind of establish your personal game plan.
I love it. I love it. So, and that's very real, right? I think you're very, very real and transparent, because everyone wants to do some form of real estate and feel that it is, easy to get into, which in some capacities it can be, right? But you learn a lot of lessons and trials and tribulations when you get into it if you don't a plan and have a strategy. So, really what I heard from what you said is sit with yourself. Sometimes you have to really sit with yourself, um, understand what your strengths and your opportunity areas are, right? And be very transparent with the person within, which is yourself. From there, it is coming up with a game plan and a strategy from what I heard you just say, by doing your research, understanding the different landscape of real estate, the different avenues of real estate, and what part or lane in real estate is going to truly match your situation and truly match your strengths that you have and you bring to the table. So great points. I think that really segues into, really
I
my next
jogged
question.
my memory on a couple other things.
Go ahead.
I would also say finding your community or your team, right? Because real estate is a team sport. You should not do it by yourself, especially when you're new. So if you don't have a realtor, if you don't have someone who's great with finance, if you don't have connections to contractors, if you don't have, all of the components that you're going to need to be successful with whatever pathway you go for, you need to find a community that can provide you that support, those people, and that information. And then also, I would recommend for anybody who's like just getting started, the safest purchase is your home. In my opinion, I know that your home isn't technically an asset, but if you're gonna have to pay bills somewhere, you might as well be building equity. Now, even then, you're gonna have some things that you need to be concerned about. You need to be concerned about the rise of insurance and of property taxes and maintenance for your home. But you can also house tax. So you can buy a multi-unit and rent out the other units. You can also rent out rooms. I think we've gotten to this place where it's like nobody wants to have a roommate, but to be realistic, that is probably the fastest, easiest way to raise the money that you're going to need to get into a bigger investment. So if you have a 3 bedroom, 2 bath house and it's just you living there, rent out the rooms. And you can do that. There's a platform now called Peer Space, which is not Peer Space, I'm sorry, Pad Split, which is great. There's a ton of options and people have to get a little scrappy. So sorry, you were just talking and
No,
it
no,
jogged
no.
my memory.
That- Hey, this is a conversation. So I love when you jump in and elaborate or give more detail. You talked about network, you talked about community, and that's where I was going next. Is women in real estate is just that, right? It is a community. It is your network. It is an organization. So um, as far as the different lanes in real estate, you said 200 hours of content and education in regards to real estate, which is in your platform that you bring to the table within women in real estate. So um, that is a network, that is a community. So how can um, new members join the community, but also really engage and then leverage that community and network to really get into real estate, but also if I'm an established investor, but I still need that community, how can I leverage the community to truly grow my portfolio?
I really love that question because so many people think that buying something is going to solve all of their problems. You still have to do the work, and the work is showing up um, and being a go giver, right? So like finding where you can add value in any community, not just W.I.R.E, but anywhere you are, and making sure that you're showing up so that you can build relationships with the people who are there. There is nothing more important. There's nothing more important. You will never find more opportunities than when you actually put in the work. And I think that's really difficult for a lot of people because we're so fascinated with being busy, and myself included, right? Running around doing all the things except for the thing that is most important, which is building relationships and building community and showing up for people and adding value. So when you make that the priority, I think that you find everything that you find things you didn't even know you were missing. So for women in real estate in particular, you can join by going to joinwomeninrealestate.com. If you poke around the website for like 10 seconds, there will be a pop-up that comes up and it'll say, hey, are you interested in joining? Fill that form out. And like we have a whole system that somebody will get you on a phone call. They'll explain all the benefits and details and all of the things, and they'll also go through like what are your goals, what are your objectives, and kind of point you in the right direction to get started. But then when you get in and you get onto the portal, a lot of people don't take full advantage of all the information. Or if you do get past that point, you don't take any action. So it's really important that you identify kind of where it is that you want to go. And if you don't know, it's a portal. So you can ask questions all day long. You can have conversations. You can engage and start building relationships. So figuring that out, but then also absorbing the content and doing the things that we're talking about doing. Like it's not enough to just sit here and politely listen. Like every time you learn something or you're in a seminar or you're on a webinar, whatever, you need to walk away with at least 3 action items that you can put into effect that day. Because chances are, if you wait, nothing happens. And then we get a year from now and you're still like, well, I'm not sure. Like, imperfect action is better than no action. So dive in, do something, learn something, because otherwise you're just going to stagnate, I guess is the nicest word I can find.
Absolutely. No, you're spot on. And so you join the community with joinwomenintherealestate.com. And then once you join, what I'm hearing is you get a consultation. Someone will be right there across from you virtually, if you will, in which they're going to really, I guess, do a needs analysis on you as a person and how you can ultimately impact the community, but also how the community can impact you. I think this is extremely, extremely powerful for women, of course, but also us as men and as allies to be there and to be able to support this initiative and support women in the real estate arena and be able to partner and network as well and share resources. That's the biggest thing, is being able to share resources. If I share my resources with you, then obviously you have connections and people and resources that you can in turn share with me. So I think that is absolutely, absolutely awesome. So if you had to, sum up everything that we discussed, and as you said, in any seminar, any webinar, there's always three things that someone should take away, and people listening will have their takeaways, if you will, from this conversation. But I'm curious, what would be three points that you want to really, really, just drive into this particular webinar that you want people to write down, take away, and really just analyze once we get off of this call?
Okay, so my top three would be number one, identifying your goals or your path. And if you need help with that, my contact information was on the first slide, but I'm sure we'll put it back up when we're done. You can reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Like, I love nerding out on anything real estate. So I'm happy to talk and figure out what path is right for you. Number two would be to talk to somebody at Women in Real Estate. So you go to joinwomeninrealestate.com and a pop-up will come up and it'll ask you a bunch of questions. And that way you can have some different perspectives and get to know other people in the space. And we're all at varying perspectives. So like I'm a capital raiser, but my chapter leader is a land acquisitionist. And we also have another woman in leadership that is a realtor and a developer, right? So it depends on what you're doing, but there's probably someone who does it somewhere within the network. So that's number two. So number one is reach out to me. Number two is reach out to W.I.R.E. Number three, I would say sit with yourself, like what you said, like really analyze what it is that you want. What are your goals? And personally, for what's important to me is like not only having goals and objectives for my own life, but having goals and objectives for what I want to see happening in my community and what I want to see happening in my family over several generations. So when I'm trying to figure out, okay, what avenue am I taking? What needs need to be met in order for my community to grow and get stronger and for me to add value there? But then also what happens to my family in a generation or two? Will any of my work matter to them? How do I make sure that it matters to them? So just really getting clear about what kind of impact you want to make for yourself, for your community, and for your family. And then I would say bonus round, like show up, like start showing up to things, start going to things. W.I.R.E has a lot of free events, a ridiculous amount of free content that's available. You can follow me on social media. You can follow me on YouTube, or you can follow Marco on YouTube, or you can listen to podcasts if you just need to show up virtually. But if you want to show up in person, also, there are meetups and Facebook groups and just like all sorts of ways to get involved. And I think that that is probably the fastest accelerator to success.
I love it. I love it. And obviously, this community, as far as women in real estate, aka Wire, is definitely impacting the community. I see different events that you post. I do follow you and follow the organization on Instagram as well as on LinkedIn. I see community cleanup events. So it's not just
Every Sunday, knee deep in trash, cleaning up the
yeah, yeah.
community.
So, it's also giving back, which, when you give back, that is the main goal. But through, those initiatives, you do build relationships
Yeah.
with other people that have those same passions. So, takeaway that I hear here is get involved, right? Get involved in many different avenues, many different lanes. Also, you talked about a 100,000 And I do want to really stress that number: 100,000 supporters as far as women in real estate. So there are people, if you're watching, if you watch the playback as well, there are people that look just like you, of all races, of all backgrounds,
Mhm.
that are women who've joined this community. 10 chapters, 100,000 people, as well as
And men,
allies, right,
and men.
and men who are involved in this community and want to grow. So, very, very important. If you want to change, truly change your life, and I'm someone that, is a testimony to this. I got into the real estate arena, I believe, about 7 years ago, and it has absolutely been life changing. I've always been in leadership and different levels of leadership. However, my leadership transitioned into the real estate arena roughly about 7 years ago. It truly opened my eyes of the possibilities to not just be, a corporate team member and a corporate employer or employee, but also how to really diversify myself and truly be an investor, truly be a developer, and someone that can really be involved in the real estate community in many different lanes. So I am a testimony that it was life changing for me. I hope that the people joining this call will join women in real estate on their initiative, and really let's grow that community. So I do want to turn it over to some question and answers that may or may not be here in the chat. So feel free to ask some questions if you have some questions for Brittany. Let's drill her with as many questions as we can, as well as if any questions that you may or may not have for me or about HomeRiver Group, or how we can support from a property management perspective as well. So
So
yeah.
while we're waiting for questions, I'll ask you the first one, which is just, how does first of all, I'm so impressed with HomeRiver because it is very difficult to find property management as a like smaller scale investor. And so the fact that you all can do that for so many like individual investors across the country is a really, really valuable service. Oftentimes when we talk about scaling in real estate, people are like, you have to go multifamily because you can't successfully property manage. You can't get, the scale doesn't make sense, right? But you
Mhm.
guys have figured out the secret sauce to make it make sense for small investors. And I think that's really valuable. Can you tell us more about how you do that? How y'all were able to like bring that to market when it's been such an elusive thing for so long?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think, and I appreciate you asking. Definitely want the spotlight on you, but hey, I'll definitely take the opportunity to talk about Home River Group and how we can assist. So, our company's been established since 2016, and truly, we've learned a ton, right, as an organization. Through those years, and how to really manage properties, but manage properties at scale while working with so many different owners. So currently we manage over 20,000, and I did say 20,000 properties, but we're managing those for 10,000 plus owners who are like people like you and me, who may own one, two, five properties, whatever it may be, and you need help managing those properties because you're still working, your normal jobs that you have, right? It allows you to really be able to scale by having someone manage those properties for you versus us being here and we're on our laptop or we're working or we're on a work call, and then your cell phone starts buzzing and it's a resident that has maintenance issues, or a resident that wants some questions on how to pay, or whatever the case may be, where you're getting inquiries about your investment property while trying to work a job, while trying to diversify your portfolio. You're not putting your effort in that one basket that can grow. So, that's where we really assist, and where we can help smaller investors scale, because that's the name of the game: is how do I take owning one property and turn one property truly into 20, 50, 100 properties. And it's very, very obtainable. We do work with lenders. So if you own one property and you're a client of ours, we do open up those pathways for you to be able to get consultations with lenders, and figure out the best way to scale your portfolio and buy more properties, not just in the city that you live in, but other cities that the economics truly make sense. And that's what we want to focus on with our clients. So I truly appreciate that question. We do have a few questions that came in. So I'll start with someone that has the same name as you, Brittany. So Miss Brittany Allen, she asks, what are your thoughts on flips at this particular time in this particular market?
So I hate flips. I mean, like just to be honest, I hate them in any market. So I'm not going to be overly positive, but I still think it's doable. Let me tell you why I don't like flips. I don't like flips because so many things can be wrong behind the walls. And you really never know, like even with all the due diligence, you really never know what's behind the walls until you open them. And once you open them, you're responsible. So I don't like that. Did fix and flips in Baltimore, and I'm not a girly girl, but I don't like the extremely dilapidated houses. I don't like rats. I don't like people squatting. It's not for me. So that part was not for me. And that's why I generally don't like flips. In this particular market, I think it can be profitable, but I think number one, should have a backup plan. So like make sure that your numbers work so that if your property does not sell, you can rent it and still be cash flowing. I think that's super important. Like really, really knowing your numbers, knowing your rental comps for the area, and then also knowing your sales comps for the area. And bonus tip, do not over improve the property, because you need to be able to get out what you put in and your profit margin. And a lot of people, I know I did for my first flip, went in, said, okay, we're only going to do these couple of things. And then we got in and got excited and did way too much and could not make money on the project, right? So that's really important. Also consider your holding costs. If you're financing this, know that every day is costing you money. And if you're new, especially, chances are things are going to take a lot longer than you think, because there's a serious learning curve, whether you're doing new builds or fix and flip. There's a lot you don't know. And even with all of the education that is available, every deal is different, and there's always going to be something to learn, and that takes time and takes money. So just be prepared for that. um Trying to think if there's anything else about fix and flips. I think those are the major things: making sure that your numbers work for rentals in case you need to keep it, making sure you know your comps for rentals and for sales in a given area, and don't go overboard. Keep it short and simple. And I would actually also really look into novation deals where you're not necessarily taking complete ownership of the property. You're just coming in, helping out, making it market ready, and then selling it. That's another way to mitigate risk.
Perfect, perfect. So I have a question from Tom, and I'll answer this one. I said, I am a real estate investor with two properties in Atlanta area, which are managed by HomeRiver. So thank you first and foremost for being a client. And I am interested in finding a third property at a low cost, which needs significant rehab. Would I be able to work with HomeRiver on the rehab itself, or otherwise for the property management of the rehab home? So the answer is yes, Tom. We will be able to assist in many different capacities. So once we're done with question and answer, my email address will be on the contact form. So if you can just email me, I will definitely get you connected with our team in Atlanta to really do a consultation, right? To understand what areas do you want to purchase in? Is this still in Atlanta, or do you want to look at other areas that may have better economics, et cetera? And we can go through those options for you at that time. So great question. Next question is from Asma. It says, do you have a sense of the market? This is for you. I'll let you answer, and I'll chime in if needed here. But do you have a sense of More questions came in. Block that one. Do you have a sense of the market direction concerning rent? Is it a good time to purchase a rental property, or should we wait? And interest rates are high, but the inventory is increasing.
So a lot of this is going to depend on what market you're in. I mean, real estate is a case by case basis. It's very local. I can say overall, we are seeing a softening in the market for rental prices. They are not exploding like what we were seeing during the pandemic, which everything was exploding. So, you take it with a grain of salt. Um, I'm of the mindset that you buy when you can buy. So if you can find opportunities, if there's a good opportunity, number one, I would buy it. If like the numbers are great, I would buy it. Number two, I would just make sure that if you bought something that was like maybe a little bit more towards retail price, that the numbers worked, like that you could carry it until the market leveled out or until you could refi it, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a really hard question to answer because there's so many factors that are related to your market and to you as an individual. But just in general, make sure your numbers work as a rental property. Number one, know your rental comps, and then make sure whatever your financing situation is, that's going to more than cover your mortgage. And then number two, like just make sure you can carry it. Just have a through Z plan. Make sure that no matter what happens, you have everything covered. And then I would go for it because when there's uncertainty in the market, that's when there's opportunity. If you wait until the interest rates decrease, the house is going to go up in price. You might get priced out. You're going to have to bring more money to the table in order to be a competitive prospect to a seller. So if you can, I would buy.
I love it. And just to piggyback off of that, I think, when looking at real estate, to Brittany's point, right? You want to understand the numbers, you want to understand the market. So understanding rents, understanding the market as far as what sales are happening within that 1 mile to 3 mile radius is very, very important. But real estate is always a great time to get in, really no matter the market, because of the appreciation of real estate. When you do your numbers, a lot of us, unless some of you guys on this call are very, very rich and have money just sitting in different accounts, etc. Usually you're going to use leverage to buy your properties, right? Which means you're getting financing. As long as the numbers make sense and you're able to cover those costs, as Brittany said, but also make a return. And when I say cover costs, not just your mortgage, but also your operating costs, right? So to operate a property, your fixed costs as far as taxes and insurance and all of those things, right? You want to bake into your numbers. And if you're still on top when you do your numbers there, it makes sense, and it's a great deal, right? Because at the end of the day, you're renting it out. You're going to contact HomeRiver Group, and then we're going to manage that property for you. So we're going to underwrite those into the deal as well, so that you're still making your profits. And ultimately, there's someone that's paying all of those costs we just talked about. They're paying those costs, right? Which also lowers that loan, which builds your equity, right? When you're building your equity, now you have an asset that you can go and borrow against that equity to go get more properties. So great time to buy always. Reach out to us. We'll be able to help you. Next question. This was a very easy one from Terrence Clark. Does Home River actively buy properties as an operator? Absolutely. So if you are a realtor, a broker, whomever, reach out to me when we put up our contact. You guys can send us your deals. We have partners in our different departments, and we buy properties. We buy upwards of 300 to 400 properties that we are buying on a monthly basis. So we need deals. So if those are off market deals, if those are On market deals, we're open and we'll send those to our acquisition teams. They'll do the analysis and then get back to you if it is a deal that we would want to purchase. So, great question. Uh, let's see. So this is for Brittany. I'll ask you this. Do you have experience with commercial real estate?
Commercial is not my thing personally, but Women in Real Estate does have a commercial real estate team at EXP as well as a residential real estate team at EXP. So if you need help with commercial, I'm sure we can help you or we can provide you a referral.
Perfect. So next questions, I'll give this one to you as well. It's a good one. I am a real estate investor with one property in Memphis, Tennessee. All right,
Memphis
you're
is
out
an
there with
interesting
Mr.
market.
with Mr. John Morant. Okay, go Memphis. I recently acquired a fourplex with tenants on a month-to-month lease. First, I would like to raise the rents from $750 a month to a minimum of $850 per month. And secondly, I would like to put the residents on a long-term lease. Do you recommend making renovations before increasing the price of the rent? How would I go about securing a security deposit for the tenants that are already living in the unit?
Okay, so some of this is again going to be market specific because it depends on the laws in your municipality and in your state. So I can't answer the security deposit question, but um what I would do is I would have individual conversations with each of the tenants and tell them, "Hey, I want to increase your rent to 850 and see who wants to stay." Right? So start with unit A and go to unit A and say, "Hey, Mr. tenant, I'm going to increase your rent to 850 or you can move." And if they move, then you can renovate the unit and then put in a new tenant at the higher price. Whatever you do, I would not recommend doing all of it at the same time unless you have a lot of cash that you can burn. I would just do one at a time. And then, as turnover happens, renovate the units then. Oh,
And
well,
if I start,
and let me
okay.
also say this nuanced part. It also depends on what your exit strategy is, because if you're holding for, a year, if you have investors that you need to make returns to, that's a different conversation because you need to get in and get out quickly. And maybe it makes sense for you to just go in, do everything at one time and give everybody back their money. But if this is a personal property and you plan on holding it for the long term, I would just take your time.
No, and that came from Miss Krishan Richardson. So, quick answer here is this is Home River Group's specialty. Of course, it depends and it's different in every single state from a legal standpoint. Some states have notices of increase where you give a resident a notice that their rent will be increasing, and they can accept that notice or have to vacate the property, but it's different language and different in every single state. So, it seems like right now we're not managing your properties for you. This is our specialty. Our property managers are licensed in the state of Tennessee and can assist you with getting your residents on a long-term lease and making sure that we go about it in a compliant way so that we're adhering to the real estate commission in that particular state as well as the laws. So, reach out again when our email addresses come up here shortly. Please reach out and we'll be able to assist you and make sure that we can increase your revenue and ultimately save you time. That's ultimately what you're interested in is you're saying, hey, I just bought this. I want to increase the rent to market, right? Not that you're trying to increase the rent on someone, but ultimately you've done your numbers, market is here, and you want to make sure that you're getting fair market value for your properties. That's where we come in to be able to assist you with doing so. So look forward to talking with you soon. And then last question that we'll take is from Ms. Jones. So it says, what would be better in the Port St. Lucie, Florida market, sell or rent a one-family home? So, Miss Joan, what I will say there, and then she did I don't want to ignore the second question. It just says, as Home River staff gets trained periodically to return phone calls, especially from owners. So, not sure if you are a client of ours. I love those type of questions because I meet them head on, right? If there's times that if you are a client and you're not getting the response that you're wanting or needing, feel free to reach out to me when our email addresses come up, and we'll make sure we get in contact with you. No organization obviously is perfect. We have our opportunity areas, but feedback is truly a gift. So I do welcome any type of feedback that any of our clients, prospects, applicants, or people inquiring about our services. Always feel free to provide feedback. So that's how we get better as an organization and also as truly as humans, right? So as far as your question, also let's talk about that one offline and really connect you with the Florida team so that we can run some comps, so some CMAs, some comparative analysis in that particular market to see what's going to be the best strategy for your situation, for your home in Port St. Lucie. Do we look at selling, which we can help with one of our partners to sell your home? Or do we go ahead and rent that home? So that's something that we can definitely assist with. And we look forward to that future conversation with you, Ms. Joan. Thank you so much for that question. All right, and our contact information here will be on the screen here shortly. So please take a screenshot if you're at your computer, write it down, take a picture with your cell phone. Brittany is extremely accessible and we'll get back to you. Same with me. I do encourage, please, if I can give you guys any takeaway here, it is to join Women in Real Estate. I'll say it again. Please join Women in Real Estate. More than likely, they have a chapter in your community, in your location. And the biggest thing that I've learned by being in real estate and being an investor, you need a community. You need to build relationships. You need a network. Brittany, I've known, like I said, I played football in college, and Brittany was a cheerleader in college. So, yeah, look at the relationship. This is a relationship that far extends what we're talking about today. But at the same time, we're both in this. So if I need assistance or I need questions or anything of that nature, I know I can reach out to her and vice versa. If you're not following us on LinkedIn, Instagram, etc., you're doing yourself a disservice. And the reason I say that is now we are part of your network, right? Go ahead, Brittany. I know you wanted to
Oh
chime in.
yeah, absolutely. That's 100% right. A lot of people are way more accessible than you think. People want to help, people want to contribute. So find ways to connect, find ways to give value, and people will give it back to you in return.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for joining, Brittany. This has been absolutely awesome to work with you. Home River plans on sponsoring some of your upcoming events here in the future. Brittany does coffee and construction events and sponsorships and just different speaking engagements that she'll have. Home River is extremely supportive of women in real estate, and we look forward to sponsoring in the future some different events that you have, and really being involved in your community as an ally, not to really sell our services, but also not to sell our services, but to be truly a support and in your community for people that may need advice or have questions, or that do want to have their properties managed. Completely up to them, but we want to be an asset to you and your community. Yeah, and here in the future.
Well, I appreciate the invitation, and you all have already been such an asset. So I'm excited to continue to work with y'all.
Absolutely. Well, everyone watching, thanks again for joining us today for Real Estate Investing with Marco. And I always leave you guys with this, which is effort equals results. results equal opportunity. You cannot have one without the other, or sustain one rather, without doing the other first. So let's put in effort today. I guarantee you will see the results. Maybe not when you want to see the results, but the results will come. And from results, opportunity always knocks and is always there. Thank you guys for joining. Everyone have a great day.
Have a great day.